going to start by looking at something very simple. What India typed on Google this year. Cricket, remember, still sits right at the top. The IPL dominated searches all year long. Add to that the two big World Cup wins. Alongside it, films, viral trends, AI tools, religious events, and very basic questions about safety and about, not to forget, air quality. What stands out is who people search for. Not movie stars or politicians, the most searched names once again were cricketers, young players, women players, emerging faces. Names like Vaibhav Suryavanshi were the most searched. Sports clearly mattered more than celebrities in 2025. Entertainment searches, though, also followed a similar pattern. Regional films, franchise titles drove interest. Films like Kantara, Sayyara, War 2, Coolie, they stayed in the search charts for weeks. On streaming platforms, familiar shows continued to hold attention, like Squid Game, Panchayat. These are the shows that were searched heavily when new seasons dropped. And then there's the most telling category, near-me searches. This is interesting because it had searches around earthquake alerts, air quality, hospitals, petrol pumps and pharmacies, even ice cream and tea lounges. National events also pushed large search spikes. Elections, the Mahakumbh, the Waqf bill, ceasefire updates, Operation Sindoor, air quality alerts, earthquake warnings once again were highly searched. And then there's travel searches. They show another side of the story. Pilgrimage planning surged, so did visa appointment searches, and finally technology. AI searches were everywhere. It was at the heart of multiple conversations. People weren't asking what AI is, they were asking how to use it. So let's make sense of what this search behavior says about us and how this is a reflection of the year we're starting off today. I'm joined now by author and academic Makarand R. Paranjape and also writer and cultural commentator Advaita Kala. Thank you to the both of you for joining us this morning. Mr. Paranjape, I want to begin with you. You know, we've spoken about the search history, what Indians were thinking like through and through 2025, but we want to focus on what next. And what does this tell us about the year that we've already entered, where India might be headed by reading what India is thinking, fearing, aspiring to be in 2025. So what are your thoughts there? What are the big signs you've picked up as I wish you a very happy new year?
Yeah, happy new year to you and your viewers as well. You know, I'm an eternal India optimist. So I think that we are doing well and we'll even do better than we have done in 2025 and 2026. Just look around, look at Bangladesh, look at Pakistan, look at Sri Lanka, Nepal. I think we are a spot of stability and prosperity in a sea of uncertainty. But having said that, I think that 2026 may throw up some surprises, not so pleasant ones, possibly, even in the realm of politics. And when it comes to the economy, again, India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We should be proud of it. But to maintain our advantage, we'll have to, I guess, work very hard at deregulation and making India more business friendly. We are an over-regulated country, as we all know. And we also have to learn to take advantage of AI. We haven't been able to incorporate AI as much in our workplace as many of the other countries have. And when it comes to your Google searches, I mean, I'm not so much a celebrity watcher, but I think when it comes to cultural trends, the film Dhurandhar seems to have struck a chord. And it's actually a part of a larger trend. You mentioned Kantara as well, of films which are upending the traditional formula, you know, of filmmaking and blockbusters, both in Bollywood and also in the South. And what's really happening is we are getting more culturally rooted as well as geopolitically bold expressions of what it means to be Indian today.
Are you saying we've started looking inward?
I think are not...
You think we've started looking inward? That's what 2025 has been?
No, I think we need to look much more inward, frankly. Okay. I'll be a little critical here. I mean, we've talked about Vande Mataram and so forth, but our air is very poor. Yeah. You mentioned that. So if you say Sujalam Sufalam, you know, Malaya Shitalam, you have to make your country ecologically beautiful. We worship rivers, but our rivers are really filthy. So we can't have these double standards, you know, keep harping back to our great heritage or our ancient wisdom, but actually live lives which are I think, very low quality. Urban life in India is really low quality. And the reason for that is we don't own up to our cities. We're not proud of our cities. You know, Delhi is one of the greatest cities in the world. You know, like Rome or Jerusalem, it's such an old city. And we have to be proud of a city like Delhi, or even Mumbai or Calcutta or Bangalore. I'm in Bangalore just now. It has the slowest traffic in the world.
Yeah. What you're
So,
essentially telling us is we should aim for the sky, but we should also constantly work towards it. We're not going to get the end result unless and until we get going and walk the talk, really. Advaita, Happy New Year to you as well. Hope it was a great morning for you, but we want to keep that momentum going. So, speaking of, popular narratives, we're going to go back a little and touch upon what Mr. Paranjapet said. Books, films, debates. If we just stick to these 2-3 domains, what do you think they have essentially revealed about India's mood? Because that's going to also tell us what we're looking at in 2026.
Sure. First of all, Happy New Year, Gregorian New Year to everyone celebrating it. You know, some of us acknowledge Vikram Samvat in April, so we still have a little more time to get things right before the New Year rolls around. But to those celebrating, Happy New Year. And just want to say that lots of interesting things happening on the books entertainment stage. Let me just add, Professor Paranjpe had a book last year, which was very good. So compliments to him. And that takes me to the next aspect of this. We've seen a rise in nonfiction in India and around the world, really. Somehow it seems to be beating fiction when it comes to reader interest. So I think this year as well, we should see some very interesting nonfiction titles come into the forefront, wherein we actually engage with topics of our times and even that of the past. And there is this, on one hand, you have this AI dominance and everything is available at a click. And then on the other hand, you have basic human curiosity that drives us to dive deeper into subjects in a way that gives us more information, more knowledge, and more appreciation for where we came from and where we're heading. So I think that is something that I feel optimistic about. And it's a challenging time for the written word because there are so many options for entertainment, for distraction, that books always seem to be on the sidelines or the margins. But I think books are going to hold on and they're going to soldier on. They survive the radio, they survive television, they'll also survive.
Mr. Paranjpe, I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are here, because Advaita has left this very interesting topic for us to deep dive into, which is what about books? So we've had to all of 2025 a conversation around, is AI replacing human beings or has it already? Is technology replacing books or has it already? What are your thoughts there?
Yes, technology can only give us pseudo cognition, and it's only reading and writing and thinking, as my esteemed colleague Advaita knows, that can develop deep cognition even in children. So we've become digital addicts, and it's very, I think, serious and dangerous. Australia has banned social media for under 16s. I don't know if banning is the way to go, but I want to revert to a couple of other things. Big trends. You mentioned the Kumbh Mela. I was there, and it's the largest gathering of human beings on earth. And it was by and large very orderly and extremely clean. So we can do it, as you said, if we want to. I was also at the inauguration of the Ayodhya Ram Mandir at the beginning of last year, in January. And it was also an extraordinary event. So I think we see this cultural resurgence and confidence in India, which can take us forward into 2026 and, do better and bigger things. As to reading and writing, I think the book has become an accessory. People like to hold it. They don't like to read it. And I sometimes joke with my friends that there are more writers than readers. But personally, I'm going back to reading. I'm reading a new book on the life of the mother, Sri Aurobindo's spiritual partner. And it's an extraordinary book in a new series that is coming out. So I'm reading very intensely nowadays and enjoying it. There's another book by
Which is not
Arvind
surprising.
Subramaniam and
Which is not
Devesh.
surprising coming from you, Mr. Paranjape. But whether or not India's following, that is what we're trying to find out this morning. But speaking of what you just said,
No, I'm
Ayodhya and
only saying
Mahakumbh.
that reading may come back. Reading may come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spirituality leading to so much more, leading to money making,
Yeah.
leading to, this whole political scenario we saw around Mahakumbh, around Ayodhya, Advaita. Advaita, we should shift our attention to what we spoke about, sports, entertainment, etc. Let's get our morning started with that. Sports in 2025, that was something. It wasn't just about winning men, women, cricket, chess, Olympics. It was also about identity and pressure. What are your thoughts there?
Wow, I would be far more comfortable talking about the Kumbh than talking about cricket, frankly, because, I have a huge problem.
We're going to start 2026 on a challenging note. I guess that's what we're doing.
Props to Yogi Adityanath for the Kumbh Mela. I mean, I'll tell you one thing about the sports. I loved how the women's cricket team came into their own. How they were kind of recognized for their prowess on the field. They won the World Cup. They became mainstream figures. And I think that was so gratifying and so important because young girls in our country need that kind of goal. And we didn't have that goal when it came to sports. And now today, the next generation has that as a goal wherein they can aspire to it, they can achieve it, they can build a livelihood around it. And I think that was incredible for me this year in particular was our women's cricket team really kind of taking their place under the sun. So that was a huge thing that happened this year. Of course, we're used to our chess grandmasters and our Indian male cricket team, but the women's cricket team, I think they won a lot of hearts this year.
We've also seen a lot of conversation around football, especially after Messi, arrived in India and he did the kind of touring he did, which prompted us to do a whole episode on this. Where does Indian football stand as we speak, Advaita? And the sense that one got through those conversations is that more than celebrating talent alone, so much of what sports in India means is now to do with constant performance. So there's performance pressure all the time. If you don't make it to a certain stage, you're not going to be given the recognition. Do you think that's a worrying trend, or do you think we're overcoming that?
Is that for me or for Professor?
Yeah,
Professor's back. Oh, I think, the thing with the Messi Mets, as I call it, in Kolkata, it was not a very auspicious start to the whole tour, grand tour that he was doing. But I think, football has been a passion point with a lot of our young people, and it's been, it's obsessive in Kerala and West Bengal, for example, as a sport. So I think there is an opportunity wherein we can promote another mass sport where we will have communities coming together to watch a sport. I think there is, again, I said, I'm not that much of a sporty person, but I do recognize the value of communal gatherings and how important it is, especially in a time where we're dominated by AI, for people to actually step out of their homes, step out from, the influence of their screens and just basic human interactions. And I think mass sporting events are a great avenue for that.
This year is not turning out to be kind in terms of a good connection with the both of you all. We're going to have to wrap up. But Mr. Paranjape, one last question to you, since we've tried our luck here. So we want your word on a cultural trend you thought in 2025 that could possibly mature beautifully in 2026.
Yes, I mentioned Dhurandhar, if you recall, and I think movies of that kind, they're probably making a film on Galwa. And the Chinese media has taken offense at that kind of portrayal. So I think that's going to be a trend. Patriotism is really trending in India, and I think it's going to increase. And there is a positive patriotism, of course, and there's an unfortunate side to it, as what happened in Uttarakhand, which is very unfortunate. I think I've always been saying this, but even if we are proud of ourselves and our culture, we should have an inclusive Hindutva, if you want to call it, and not a chauvinistic or exclusivist identity. So this is a good time the Gregorian New Year and many New Years to come, to demonstrate our pluralism in India, and to demonstrate our inclusivity and not to become narrow-minded, even if our neighbors sometimes go in that direction. I think India has always stood for that broad-mindedness. Ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti. My earlier guest on your show was quoting Sanskrit. I think I should also quote. And this is from the Rig Veda, the oldest scripture of humanity, which says that truth is one, but the wise call it by many names. So I think that's a good note on which to welcome the new year.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up this conversation on that very optimistic and positive note. Thank you to the both of you. Always a pleasure, and Happy New Year once again.